Oh, well, hello, everyone. It is Wednesday. Welcome back. Dark Horse Comics here for the new comic book day rundown. I am Kara. This is Rex. He's often here, so any regular viewers know him. And I work at Dark Horse. Rex is my partner in crime, and I am joined today by my fabulous coworker at Dark Horse, Jenny Blank. Hello, Jenny.
Hello. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Rex, for having me as well.
Yes, I'm trying to prevent him from jostling my camera and mic around like he likes to do. So he'll be in and out, I'm sure, today. Jenny, if you have any rabbit visitors, we would love to see them.
I will definitely. We recently moved to a new home where everything is hardwood, and they have a little bit of a harder time wandering around on this material. So you may even hear them if they make an appearance clickety clacketing.
Yeah, that's the cats. We also have hard floors here, and the cats kind of do, like, when they get real excited and they run, they will skid, like just peel out all across the floor. So
Yeah.
streaming from home, working from home during the pandemic, these are the things that you may have to hear in the background of our new comic book day streams. But thank you again to Jenny for joining me because we are going to talk about some of the books that Jenny is an editor on. And I'm excited to have you join us to highlight and kind of go in depth on a couple of titles. Dark Horse does have quite a lot of new releases this week. Today at comic shops, we do have quite a number of single issues. These include, we have a lot of books as well. So I'm just going to go in alphabetical order, actually. Bandette, Volume 3. A new volume, a new paperback edition of the Eisner Award-winning series by Paul Tobin and Colleen Coover. It's really cute, and I highly recommend it. I don't think I have that volume here, but I do have. So we're doing new paperback editions of all of the volumes thus far. So these are 1 and 2, which are out now, and volume 3 joins those today in paperback. Rex is in my space. Barbalian, Red Planet, now available in trade paperback. Another excellent new finding from the world of Black Hammer. I especially love this storyline. If you did not read it in single issues, the collection is a fabulous way to pick it up. It's an excellent story. Amazing creative team. Really dives into Barbalian's past, Barbalian, of course, being one of the main characters from the Black Hammer storyline. And we go into the 1980s AIDS crisis, and it's also kind of an identity crisis for Barbalian, aka Mark Marks, and a lot of, tough happenings.
There's a lot of strong emotions with that one, especially if you're part of the queer community living now in the pandemic. But I for one found it very cathartic.
Yeah. It's intense, and like Dr. Andromeda before it is one of the more tearjerker stories, I think, in the Black Hammer verse, but it's well worth a read. And so new in paperback this week at comic shops, soon in bookstores. New single issue today, Black Hammer Visions #4, which is part of the anthology series where different creators get to play in the world created by Jeff Lemire and Dean Ormston. This one is by the creative team of Mariko Tamaki, Diego Olortegui, which I always have a hard time saying. It does not roll off the tongue. Apologies to Diego. Colors, of course, by Dave Stewart, and several variant covers, which you can pick up. Also, just running through these quickly so we can dive into our showcase today, but a new paperback of Breath of Bones, A Tale of the Golem, which very excited about this one. It's another one of the kind of like Bandette and some of the previous Steve Niles books. Some hardcover past editions are now being re-released in trade paperbacks so that more people can get your hands on them. So new today. Also, we have Dr. Andromeda, like I just mentioned. That's another Black Hammer title that is newly available in a paperback edition. Empowered Omnibus Volume 2, trade paperback. Ether Library Edition.
Oh, it's huge.
Holy cow, I'm going to drop it. Oh. I had to lift over Rex, who is still under here. But so Ether Library Edition, this is not even a brick. This is like exceeding the size of a brick. If you don't know Ether, it's a fantastic series by Matt Kent with art by David Rubin. science meets fantasy and the two worlds collide. Fabulous art, fabulous story, all 3 volumes collected.
It's wonderful. It is that perfect blend of like sci-fi and fantasy where you don't have to choose between those genres in order to get what you love out of both of them. And the colors, oh my gosh, the vibrant colors in that and how the color sets the mood. It's just an incredible series.
Insane. I can't even like really lift this up and do it justice, but I had to show you guys because this library edition is even bigger than usual, right? Like this is wow. So get on this.
Is that a ribbon bookmark that it has too that I saw?
Oh, it is. Oh.
I'm a sucker for a nice built-in bookmark. Otherwise, I end up using receipts and ticket stubs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even though you have like a stockpile of bookmarks, probably. Yeah. I just grab, I grab receipts. I grab whatever like scrap paper I have. Yeah. So another beautiful library edition, which make sure you pre-order, pick up from your comic shops and bookstores. Wow. Yeah, that is not to be missed if you are an Ether fan. Also, rounding out our lineup, Gantz Omnibus Volume 6 trade paperback, new this week. There have been some shipping delays, so it may take a bit if you had pre-ordered this, but just hang in there. New at comic shops, coming soon to bookstores. Single issues, Grendel Devil's Odyssey, number 6. Yes, Grendel is back. Was delayed by the pandemic, but it is still ongoing. Do not worry. I know we have a lot of Grendel fans and we appreciate your support, even though this did have to be delayed somewhat. Matt Wagner, of course, and colored by his son, Brennan Wagner. And we have cool variant covers for each issue in this series. So to see if you can pick both of those up. This issue, Lucas Troya is the variant cover artist. Sorry, go ahead.
I said it's gorgeous.
Yes, it is. Every variant cover has been fantastic. The last issue, Ben Stenbeck, one of my personal favorite artists. Also, new Resident Alien this week. If you have watched the sci-fi show, it is a sci-fi show, which is based on the comics. They are actually pretty different, but both excellent adaptations and stories. Resident Alien, you're right, it's here, number 6. Maybe something of a conclusion to this kind of long ongoing series. So I will not spoil it, but Resident Alien fans, check it out. If you are watching the show and are not yet familiar with the comics, I also recommend you pick up the Resident Alien Omnibus, which starts you at the beginning, whereas this is kind of maybe the end. The ending? Question mark? Static trade paperback, brand new today from Matt Lesniewski, who is also the artist on the recent Matt Kent series, Crimson Flower. Amazingly detailed art. Like, I don't know how he does it. Reminds me of James Stokoe a little bit.
A little bit, with kind of like an Art Nouveau twist almost.
Yeah. And he's very diverse. Like, if you look at Crimson Flower too, you'll see a lot of his style. He exhibits a lot of different styles. A lot more of that kind of like folkloric tinge to certain pages in Crimson Flower. But
it complements the story perfectly in that way. Very folklore heavy, very like folk fantasy influence. It's wonderful.
Yes, it's a really interesting series. We just concluded the miniseries actually in single issues, paperback not out yet, but you can pre-order it. Beautiful art, really interesting Matt Kent concept, as always with Matt Kent. So if you did not pick it up, definitely pre-order that trade, actually. And finally, we have House of Lost Horizons, a Sarah Jewell mystery, number 1, which we will dive into in great detail momentarily. And we're also going to visit a recent release, Sacred Decay, The Art of Lauren Marks, because it deserves a closer look at all of that gorgeous art. Before we dive into those 2 titles further, just a reminder, like I said, everything I mentioned is out at comic shops today. Comicshoplocator.com can help you find comic shops near you if you need any assistance or need to find ones that offer online ordering, perhaps during the pandemic, especially. Indiebound.org is also a great resource to find local bookstores where all of our graphic novels and art books are. And with that said, Jenny, do you have any shop recommendations for folks?
Oh, yes. Since you mentioned bookstores too, remember that bookstores carry a ton of graphic novels. If you want to special order them, they can usually do that, so you can support local and still get the specific title you want. I want to do a special shout out today to the Norwich bookstore out in Vermont. My dear friend Sam Koss and his partner Emma Nichols just purchased that fine store. So congrats to them. Shout out to the Norwich bookstore, and definitely get out and support your local comic shop or bookstore with these fabulous titles or the title of your choice.
I would like to go there. I actually, I have never been to Vermont.
I haven't either. I think this is my chance for a road trip.
Yes. Finally, just recently fully vaccinated. So on the way to being able to carefully, reasonably do things out in the world again. I would love to go to Vermont. Here, Dark Horse Comics, if you did not know, actually those watching at home, we are based in the Portland, Oregon area, which loosely in the area. I know, especially now that we're all working from home, we're a bit spread out, but Pacific Northwest here. And so, Vermont's kind of the opposite corner. So just not a place
the only time we usually get out there is for New York Comic Con, and of course that hasn't been an option lately. So I think we might have to do a Dark Horse field trip, visit the bookstores and comic shops of Vermont and the Eastern Seaboard. I like that.
Yes, let's do a tour.
We'll wear sweaters and eat chowder.
I do love some good chowder. So with that said, like everything we mentioned just now in the quick rundown and everything we're about to dive into, available at comic shops everywhere. I'll shout out TFA as well, Things from Another World, tfa.com, TFAW. That's another good one for both online orders. And if you are in the Portland, Oregon or LA area, actually, there are physical stores. And they carry all of Dark Horse's books. So there you go. I'm just caressing Sacred Decay over here.
It's so soft. It's got that nice soft touch cover, and it just makes you want to stroke it. It really does.
Got a little spot glass, which we always love. Little spot glass. I don't have a physical copy here of House. We'll get to that. We're going to show you as we discuss digital pages from within as we dive into our single issue, House of Lost Horizons, a Sarah Jewell mystery. And I'm just gonna, before we dive in, giveaway is open in the chat. Enter the keyword, use the hashtag or pound sign because it's a common word, and just keep it clear. Enter to win a copy of all the single issues we discuss that are available today, and also a copy of Sacred Decay, the art of Lauren Marks. And there goes my voice. But enter the keyword decay with the hashtag or pound sign in the chat, all lowercase, and that will enter you in that giveaway. And we'll draw a winner near the end of the stream today, after we show you why you want these books. So Decay in the chat, use the hashtag or pound sign, and let's take it away and dive into who is Sarah Jewell and why is she the star of this comic?
That is indeed the question. So Sarah Jewell, so first of all, let me start out by saying that this series is part of the broader Hellboy universe. And Sarah Jewell, some of you may recognize that name from a couple of different places. The first one where she appeared was actually way back in the Hellboy world, 1923, in a very exciting adventure called Rise of the Black Flame. So Sarah Jewell was an explorer who we first met there, kind of uncovering the mysteries behind the origins of the Black Flame. And she was always one of those characters that we wanted to pop up a little bit later on and kind of explore more. There was a lot of fan interest in her. So we got to kind of have that chance with a couple of new things. The first one was actually the last series of the Witchfinder comics, The Reign of Darkness. And she shows up there to kind of give Sir Edward Grey what for. Her intro kind of highlights her as a very strong woman, as a very opinionated woman, and as somebody who kind of has Hellboy's attitude of find the occult and punch it in the face.
As you
do. Which I love and admire. So we see her there, but then this House of Lost Horizons is kind of the first time that we have a chance to explore her and her partnership with Marie-Therese Lafleur, who is her partner in life and in crime. Well, in crime solving, I guess, is more of it. But
crime stopping.
Yeah. So we've had this character kind of floating around in the background for a while, and every time she comes up, a lot of the community goes, who is this? Can we have more about her? Can you tell us more? Blah, 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 blah. And we are finally getting that chance. So this is, it's definitely an occult mystery in the same vein as folks who are accustomed to Hellboy are like used to seeing. But the beautiful thing about it is that it's a different tone to those occult kind of monster bashing stories. This is much more of, I'd almost call it like a cozy mystery, like Ms. Marple, kind of Poirot sort of, with a hint of Phryne Fisher in it, definitely.
You just said all the good things. Like
I know. Yeah. Cozy mysteries are very hit or miss with me because if they're too simple, I get bored.
Yeah.
And this series did not have that problem. There's this wonderful cast of diverse suspects who all have legit motives for potentially committing the crime in question. And we get to see Marie-Therese and Sarah Jewell work their way through all of these possibilities. And it's paced in such a way that it has enough twists and turns that until I read the last script, I did not see what the solution was going to be. But in retrospect, it makes perfect sense. No spoilers, but it's a wonderful, cozy mystery. It is a new tone for the Hellboy universe. But it's one that we've just been waiting to fill for a long time. So I am super stoked about it. And I think fans are going to love it, especially those who have been curious about Sarah Jewell and have wanted to see a little bit more about her and Marie-Therese.
Absolutely. And we have some of the creative team who have worked on Sarah's character before. I'm very excited about this creative team, actually. Can you tell us a bit about who they are and like how this came together?
Oh, yeah. So Chris Roberson is the writer on this one. He has done all sorts of Hellboy stories in the past. So he's kind of a mainstay with Mike in writing these stories. And for this one, he was joined to do the art by Leila Del Duca, who is an incredible artist. Just I picked up one of her other ones, Afar, when it first came out, and just have been a huge fan ever since. So the team had actually been, well, the team being Chris, Mike, and editor Katie O'Brien had been tossing around the idea for this series for a while. And when they finally got together at a show to kind of compare notes on who they wanted to draw it, all three of them had Leila at the top of their list. So the convenient thing was that Leila was also at that same show tabling. So they were able to just kind of all get together and talk things over in person, which is a really rare thing to get to do in comics, even before the pandemic, with so many people situated in so many different places. It's a lot more normal for folks to talk either here on Zoom or, any on emails and text and whatnot. So it was really a treat. And I think it helped meld this team together in a really special way to put all this down in person. Of course, then the colorist for this series is Michelle Madsen. She did the colors on the Witchfinder series, and she's another mainstay of the Mignolaverse. But the real fun kind of homage to the original Black Flame series where Sarah first appeared is the fact that Christopher Mitten is doing the covers for this series, House of Lost Horizons. And he's the one who did the interior art originally for Rise of the Black Flame.
And we have some pages that we can show, kind of tracing Sarah Jewell's first appearances, I guess.
Yeah.
Start rotating through some of those. Where would you like to start, Jenny?
Oh, we can start with Rise of the Black Flame, since that's the first place we really saw Sarah. And Sarah, part of why I love her is that she is an older character. She's an older female character. She's, you know, not necessarily one of these sprightly, sexy young things anymore. Not necessarily. But
I mean, like you were saying, it's got those vibes of Miss Marple or like Murder, She Wrote, with
exactly.
She's a little bit older, but like a sharp crime solver.
She's so smart. She's got that spunk, and she hasn't lost any of her attitude while gaining wisdom and experience. So Sarah is one of my favorite characters for those reasons. There are a few scenes where like you will see her struggling to keep up with some of the physical nature of their adventures. And I love and appreciate and identify with that too. So you see her, I mean, she in Black Flame, they're wandering through the jungle, of course, and uncovering some mysteries there. So you get a good sense of her, again, her spunk and her knowledge and her lack of fear in the face of the unknown. And then you see that come up again in House of Lost Horizons, where that comes up. So like I said, Rise of the Black Flame takes place 1923. And then House of Lost Horizons is 1926. So they're just a few years after one another. It's the perfect time to go back and reread or read for the first time Rise of the Black Flame before you pick up House of Lost Horizons #1, which has Sarah Jewell and Marie-Therese Lafleur, who was in Rise of the Black Flame as well, come and take on this locked room murder mystery.
And Rise of the Black Flame, of course, is also available in its own individual paperback collection. Let's see, what other collections does that appear in? Do you know off the top of your head?
Rise of the Black Flame? Yeah. No, I think we've just put it together in its own paperback. It's a single series. Yeah. So it's kind of an open and closed story, but it informs the BPRD Hell on Earth books. Right. So if you're familiar with the Black Flame from those and you want to learn a little bit more about where the history of that character comes from, you can always check out Rise of the Black Flame, very aptly named.
I'm trying to keep Brex from headbutting my microphone right now.
Yeah. Well, and the fun thing about Sarah Jewell too is you see her in this series, and as I said, in Rise of the Black Flame as an older woman, but it's implied that she has had more contact with other folks earlier on in her life. She drops Sir Edward Grey's name quite a bit, who is, of course, the Witchfinder. And if you have read the Witchfinder series, you may recognize that Sarah Jewell popped up there in series 6, which was The Reign of Darkness. Like I said, she shows up there, and her introduction is to lay into him about how judgmental of sex workers he's being.
Way to go, right? Sarah.
So if you needed another reason to love her, there she is. And again, this Witchfinder series is drawn by Christopher Mitten. So you get that same art style that you first meet Sarah in, introducing her here for the first time as a younger woman. It's a very nice kind of full circle feel to it.
So for fans, longtime fans of Hellboy or the Mignolaverse, you've probably been kind of following along as these little appearances have popped up, and now we're excited to give Sarah her own series. It's really fun seeing her come front and center along with some of the other women protagonists and women creative teams on more and more of the Mignolaverse and the Outerverse, especially. Of course, we've had Lady Baltimore guests on recently, which is Oh, I've been so excited for that series, and I'm so glad that it's finally
So
here in the world with us.
it's so good. And Christopher Golden and Bridget Connell just make such an incredible creative team doing the writing and art on there. The dynamic is wonderful.
They've been a pleasure to have on previous streams, which you can still watch here on our Twitch or on our YouTube. And the covers by Abigail Larson are just stunning for that series. Just everybody's doing such a fantastic job with it. And I love Baltimore. That's one of my personal favorites. So getting more of that world and, you know, some of those characters at least. Yeah, yes, there's Lady Baltimore in all its beauty. Yeah, it's personally very exciting for me. And so anybody else who is a fan of Baltimore, of the Outerverse, as we're now calling it, this kind of interconnected, not necessarily the Hellboy Mignola verse, but the Joe Golem and another recent release, Kojikaru the Skinner, and Lady Baltimore, Baltimore himself. That all of those stories comprise this Outerverse now, which Chris Golden gets into in much more detail, being, you know, one of the co-creators. So you should go watch that.
Yeah, he's got it all planned out in his head. Between him and Mike, there's a vast expanse to explore there for sure. But on this side of things, in the meantime, there's House of Lost Horizons and the Sarah Jewell mystery story.
So this is issue 1 of 5. And so this one is new at comic shops today, which is why we're doing the big feature on it for the moment. I've also been really looking forward to this one. I really enjoy period pieces, and the 1920s and 30s are some of my favorite decades, like for fashion. I mean, you mentioned Franny Fisher earlier. I love Miss Fisher's murder mysteries. Who doesn't?
So good. And you mentioned we're up here in the Pacific Northwest too. This little story, House of Lost Horizons, takes place up here in the San Juan Islands in Washington. So another reason to love it for Pacific Northwesterners specifically.
Local connections. That is exciting. You don't see as many of those, that setting in comics, I think. So with respect to the period setting, I feel like this book has a very specific color palette. And I wonder if you can talk a bit about both Leila Del Duca and Michelle Madsen's art for this series. Like, what are some of the details that really make the period pop and come alive?
Oh yeah. No, part of why the entire team was so excited to have Leila join is the fact that her art is done in such a way that she can highlight differences between characters in both physical features, attitude, expressions, while maintaining that same style. It's also, for me, actually part of what I liked most about seeing her art come together was the fact that she somehow made the house where all of this takes place feel like its own character. And in some ways it is. I mean, you know, the title of the series is House of Lost Horizons, and it's a, you know, locked room mystery trapped inside this house. But you can really see that in the detail that Leila puts into the surroundings, the way she kind of keeps track of different locations and, you know, spatial relativity. I think that her art definitely makes that specifically very special in this series. And kind of along those lines, colorist Michelle Madsen definitely picked that up. And, you know, the entire interior of the house is this really rich, again, you know, period true wooden panels, a very warm, opulent feel to it. And Michelle was able to do that not just with, you know, the additions of the tapestries and the rugs and, you know, even to some extent the outfits and their colors that the characters wear, but, you know, the entire house almost is brown, but it's so much more than brown. Like the wooden paneling and it just glows on the page. I can't express really just my continued admiration for the way this art team specifically was able to work together. It really, really just added so many layers to the story.
It's very atmospheric. It really made me feel, as soon as I started reading the first few pages, I got that sense of watching, one of my favorite Agatha Christie mysteries or something.
Yeah.
Like I felt that environment, and it was it's the visual cues, it's the backgrounds, it's the environments, but it is also the dialogue and the characters themselves. And it all just works so well together. Let's see, what other, check in the chat to see if we've got any questions. Let us know if you have questions about the comics that we're discussing right now, and we'll see if we can work those in. Jenny, of course, is the assistant editor on this, so I'm really excited to have her here with us because she knows these inside and out, having worked on them in great detail.
And a lot of details went into this too. Chris Roberson, who wrote it, actually had to put together one of those classic kind of story maps about to keep track of all the characters, their motivations, and how those fit in with what becomes the reveal at the end. So there's a lot of thought that went into this whole thing, and it comes together in a way that I think fans are really going to love.
Well, we are obviously pretty excited about this one. This is, again, a new #1, so highlighting this today, available at comic shops everywhere, digitally also, if you prefer to read digital. We do, though, also have a gorgeous art book, which Jenny also, this is a Jenny project entirely, yes? Sacred Decay, the art of Lauren Marks.
Book twinsies.
Yes.
You can be a cool kid and get yours too.
You too can own this gorgeous art book.
Oh yeah, and it really is. I mean, I know Dark Horse is well known for the art books and the larger format video game books and making of books that we put together. And there's really a reason for that. It's a privilege to be able to work on an art book like this, not only with just an incredibly talented creator like Lauren Marks, but with the team of digital art technicians and designers who help take this, this vast collection of fine art and put it into a book format that will do it justice. So huge shout out to both Carl Horn and Cindy Caceres-Sprague, because without them on kind of the behind the curtains team here, this art book would not do nearly as much justice to Lauren's work.
Yes, her work is so amazingly detailed and just gorgeous. Being able to see it in this larger format, full page spreads, it's almost necessary for her work.
Yeah, it is. And part of what Lauren ended up suggesting and what we put together is so she works in very large formats. On every page, you'll see the dimensions for each piece listed too. So you can kind of gauge how big these pieces are. But for some of them like this, The Martyrdom of a Fish, it's originally 18 by 42 inches. So of course, in order to get that on a page, we had to spread it out quite a bit. But then what we ended up doing is, on a number of these larger and more detailed pieces, we're also able to go in and do these detail shots that, again, Cindy designed and focused. So you get to see the entire large format piece there on the page, but then you also get to zoom in on those more visually delicate parts, so you can really see just the incredible fine pens. I'm still mesmerized by this. You can see these incredibly fine pen strokes and watercolor details. And Lauren does some Instagram videos too of her process, so you can actually watch her in real time go through and do just these tiny flicks of ink to make fur look soft, to make feathers look plush. And it's so incredible. I am in awe of her talent, and it's been a real honor to be able to help put this book together.
Well, it's gorgeously done. I will definitely echo the shout out for our designers and digital art teams. They're fantastic at what they do. And Cindy truly did an amazing job on this book, as she always does. We've shouted her out on Critical Role showcases as well, because she does all those designs. In addition, also, so Jenny, how did this come to you? How did this project come to you into Dark Horse in the first place?
To be honest, it started out by me being an incurable fangirl. I'll own that. I had been a fan of Lauren Marks, one of those internet lurkers, who, is too scared to say hi, for a really long time. And, finally, when I started working at Dark Horse, I started looking at some of the other art books we do, that Lauren might be a good fit for us. So I reached out to her, in my tremulous fangirl way, to see if she might be interested in doing an art book with us. And from the very beginning, she has been excited, gracious, helpful. It's been wonderful to work with her. And like I said, being able to put this book together with somebody whose art I admire so much has really been kind of a dream.
That's fantastic. And I can see, we've been communicating as the book's been in production, and yeah, Lauren has been so fantastic to work with, and we really do appreciate her patience and everybody's patience. This book was certainly one of the ones that was caught up in really the start of the pandemic and lockdown, and the pandemic continues to affect publishing quite a bit. Printing has been extremely slowed down. There are paper shortages. There are shipping delays.
Issues.
There are all kinds of shipping delays. Ports are backed up like crazy. There's a lot going on, and we have all been working really hard to make sure that books were not canceled. Books were just kind of put on hold, and then they've been coming back on the schedule whenever possible. And so this was delayed somewhat. And she's really weathered through all the various pandemic related delays and shipping delays and all of those things that unfortunately were just out of our control. But thanks also to the fans who had pre-ordered and kind of stuck by this. This actually has been very popular. And so, I mean, unsurprisingly, but we're already going to have more stock on the way this summer. So just so folks know, pretty excited about that. Congrats to Lauren. This has been a very, very popular art book, and there's deservedly so, because as we're saying, it's just, her work is gorgeous, and this is just a beautiful way to display it.
Well, and like look at the covers here. This wraparound cover, which features one of her new pieces, Nested Fawn, which is also featured in the book. But yeah, this is, Lauren's art is stunning on its own. And I think that framed in this way, in context of this art book with its incredible design, this is a wonderful inspiration book. It's a good reference book. It's a good tabletop book. And one of my favorite parts about the fact that this book is arranged chronologically and kind of takes you through since 2012 up to like 2018. With Lauren's art, you can see her style evolve, and you can see the big thing is the way she becomes more comfortable using bright colors. And so you'll go from some of these more simple pen and ink or, ink wash, kind of gouache art into these big, vibrant, colorful pieces like that cover piece. So it's a beautiful book, whether you're a professional artist, whether you're just looking for a nice coffee table book, or, something to give you the warm willies at night. It's just creepy and beautiful, and I can't recommend it highly enough. It's only $30. Which for an art book like this that has that soft touch cover, that has that spot gloss on it, it's 136 pages of art. That's a really good price.
It's a lot of gorgeous art all collected in one volume. And I actually just flipped up into the back. We got this nice little sketchbook section as well.
Yeah.
Love those. Another feature you usually get most of the time with Dark Horse art books or bigger collections. I like seeing kind of behind the scenes and getting some of that process. This one's really interesting because you see her art sort of in development stages. But what's crazy to me is looking at these sketches. I mean, these are not really that far off the final product. Like even her early scratches are like beautiful and better than anything I will ever draw in my life. So
yeah. Well, and it's fun too, because some of the pieces that you see in the sketchbook section, you will come into contact with in their finished product in the text of the book. So you can kind of flip back and forth and compare.
That's a really good point. And now I'm totally going to go back and do that. Now that I have this physical copy in my hands. This also has been actually something a little bit more rare for me during the pandemic, because we are all working from home. And so I've been streaming from home for Dark Horse for quite a while now, but I only go into the office, very carefully, periodically. So I haven't been able to pick up physical items as frequently as normal. So it's nice to be able to actually see this and feel this and truly understand like the quality of it. It's, as you mentioned earlier, like this has a nice like soft touch cover. It feels good. It looks gorgeous. It's not going to scuff, not the way that some of the more matte covers do. So yeah, just a gorgeous, gorgeous design.
Yeah, and Lauren's been showcasing not just these pieces, but some other pieces, because not all of them were able to squish into this book. So she posts regularly on her Instagram. And she has a website, Lauren Marks Art, or sorry, it's just laurenmarks.com. laurenmarks.com now. You can find her stuff there. She has products that she sells on Etsy. So she does a lot of limited prints. So if there's a piece you particularly love in this book, check and see if there are prints available. She does stickers, she does postcards. So there's really a lot of ways to support Lauren as an artist, or you can support your local indie bookstore or comic shop by ordering Sacred Decay, because this is available now.
And it is also included in our giveaway, which is open for just another minute or so. Enter by typing the keyword in the chat with the hashtag or # Decay. In honor of this gorgeous art book. And you can win a copy of it, plus the new single issues out today, including House of Lost Horizons, #1. And that actually is going to kind of wrap us up. We actually, both Jenny and I do have to get on to some other things today. So we are going to wrap up today's stream. But thank you all for joining us and for watching along as we ran through the new releases, and especially highlighting those that Jenny herself has worked on. Thank you, Jenny, for joining me.
Thank you. It's always fun to come in and nerd about things with another person.
I always appreciate having any of my colleagues on, because, we work together, but it's fun to actually get to talk and like do a deep dive on these projects that we all devote our time to. So congrats. I just drew a winner in the giveaway, and Hootskerdoo, who has an amazing screen name, has been drawn as the winner. You can use the claim command in chat and or just send us a private message, a whisper, but congrats.
Congrats, Hootskerdoo.
They have their image is a little owl, so
it's also probably the funnest word I'm able to say all day, I'll bet.
Yeah, right. I know. I like to treat we should do them up more like a Pee-wee's Playhouse word of the day kind of thing. Like,
have it appear above you in glittery letters.
Yeah. We'll work on that for our Twitch channel in the future.
Excellent.
But thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Congrats to our winner. Just like I said, send us a private message here on Twitch, and we'll arrange getting your prize to you. Sacred Decay, The Art of Lauren Marks, and House of Lost Horizons, a Sarah Jewell mystery, are the two items that we especially highlighted today, available at comic shops, and in this case, bookstores everywhere. Excuse me. I do also want to remind folks before we go, this is also near and dear to both mine and Jenny's heart. Tune in next week in case you missed it.
Oh,
big news announced yesterday. Something I have been working on for quite a while now, which we can finally tell you. Avatar, The Last Airbender, Toph Beifong's Metal Bending Academy, our latest graphic novel. Hey, Jenny's got it. We're going to have another live reading, you guys. So tune in next Wednesday, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Pacific time. That's UTC -7 currently. We will be joined by voice actors Michaela Murphy, who played Toph, Jenny Kwan, who played Suki, and Jack DeSena, Sokka, plus maybe some other surprise guests. Wait and see. And the comics creators, Faith Erin Hicks and Peter Wortman, will all be here live doing another reading, this time from the Toph graphic novel, and then we'll have another Q&A panel about the Avatar comics. So we will see you next week.
Don't miss it.
For some Toph goodness. I love Toph, so I'm especially excited about this one.
And she's, we're not supposed to pick favorites, but Toph's low-key my favorite.
Yeah, I'm pretty much same. Yeah.
So
sorry everyone.
This is the event of our dreams.
So very excited to bring this to you in partnership with Nickelodeon. It will also be streamed live on Nickelodeon's channels, so you can catch it here or there. You know, I would say join us here, because then you also get a chance at winning some copies of the books, but you know, whatever you want to do. So anyway, next Wednesday, May 19th, join us here. And we'll be back with some more Avatar readings, because I know we got a lot of Avatar and Korra fans out there. So that's it for today. Thank you again for joining us for the New Comic Book Day Rundown. Thank you, Jenny, for joining me.
Anytime. And thank you. Yeah, thank you all for joining us. Hope to see you next week for the Toph Beifong reading.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. We will sign off, and we'll see you next week.
Before the beginning, there was nothing. No earth, no heavens, no stars, no sky. Only the mist world, formless and shapeless. And the fire world, always burning. In Jotunheim, the home of the giants, is Mimir's well. Mimir, the wise one, the guardian of memory, knows many things. His well is wisdom. The ash tree grows between the 9 worlds and joins them each to each. The dragon Nidhogg lives in these waters, and it is always gnawing at the root from below. At the edge of the flame stood Sota. He will go forth from Muspel with his flaming sword and burn the world with fire, and one by one the gods will fall before him.